Welcome to Boring Historian. Tonight, we'll be exploring the myth of Quetzalcóatl, the Feathered Serpent, and his journey to the underworld to retrieve maize for humanity. If you enjoy our videos, please comment below on what other history topics you'd like us to explore. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss one of our daily releases. Now, settle in, get comfortable, and let me guide you into a time and place you'll want to sleep through but also never forget. Imagine the air thick with the scent of damp earth and the distant rumble of thunder. The sky, a canvas of swirling clouds, casts an eerie glow over the jagged peaks of an ancient mountain range. In the shadow of these towering cliffs lies a secret, a hidden realm where the very essence of life is guarded by the Lord of the Dead. In this realm, the journey is treacherous, the path fraught with challenges that test the limits of endurance and will. Yet, amidst the darkness, a figure emerges, a god with the wisdom of the ages and the courage to defy the odds. This is Quetzalcóatl, the Feathered Serpent, embarking on a perilous quest to retrieve the sacred maize that will nourish his people and breathe life into a world on the brink of desolation. As he descends into the underworld, each step echoes with the weight of destiny. The air grows colder, the shadows deeper, and the trials more daunting. Yet, with every obstacle, Quetzalcoatl's resolve strengthens, for he knows that the survival of humanity hinges on the success of this journey. Join me as we delve into this ancient myth, exploring the trials faced by Quetzalcóatl and the profound lessons embedded within his quest. A tale of sacrifice, determination, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. The Feathered Serpent awakening the birth of a divine duality. In the beginning, before the world took shape, there was only the void and endless expanse of nothingness. From this emptiness emerged Omito, the primordial deity embodying duality, comprised of Omiticótli, the Lord of Duality, and Omixihuatl, the Lady of Duality. Amito existed in the highest heaven, Omiokan, the place of duality. This divine pair represented the balance of opposites, male and female, light and dark, life and death, setting the stage for creation. Mamito's essence was the foundation of all that was to come. From this dual god sprang four sons, each embodying key aspects of the cosmos. Quetzalcóatl, the Feathered Serpent, god of the wind, wisdom, and life. Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, god of night, sorcery, and destiny. Huitzilopochtli, the hummingbird of the south, god of the sun and war. Zyptotec, our Lord the Flayed One, god of agriculture and renewal. Among these, Quetzalcóatl stood out not just for his role in creation, but for his embodiment of the delicate balance between life and death. His very existence was a testament to the complexities of survival in a world governed by divine forces. The quest for maize in the aftermath of the world's creation. The gods recognized that humanity's survival depended on a vital gift, maize, accompanied by his twin, Xochitl, who guided souls through the underworld. Quetzalcóatl descended through the 9 levels of Mictlan. Each level presented formidable challenges, treacherous winds, jagged mountains, and rivers teeming with jaguars. Yet, the twins pressed on, their resolve unwavering. This sacred crop would nourish the people and sustain civilizations. This myth underscores the delicate balance between divine intervention and human effort, highlighting the complexities of survival in a world governed by capricious deities. The Lord of the Dead, known for his cunning, set a series of trials to test Quetzalcoatl's determination. One such trial involved Quetzalcoatl traveling around Mictlan 4 times while blowing a conch shell. In a clever ruse, Quetzalcóatl filled the shell with bees to produce the desired sound, deceiving Mictlantecuhtli into granting access to the maize. However, the maize was hidden in the underworld, Mictlan, guarded by Mictlantecuhtli, the Lord of the Dead. Determined to secure this essential sustenance, Quetzalcóatl embarked on a perilous journey to Mictlan. Upon reaching Mictlantecuhtli's domain, Quetzalcóatl sought permission to retrieve the maize. Despite the trials, Quetzalcóatl's journey was fraught with peril. Mictlantecuhtli, ever watchful, sought to thwart the god's mission. As Quetzalcoatl made his way back, he was startled by a quail, causing him to stumble and drop the maize. The grain scattered, and some were lost, symbolizing the challenges humanity would face in cultivating the crop. Nevertheless, Quetzalcoatl's perseverance ensured that the maize reached the surface, bringing with it the promise of sustenance and survival. The gift of corn in the tapestry of Aztec civilization, maize was not merely a staple food. It was the very essence of life, culture, and identity. The arrival of corn, brought by Quetzalcoatl, marked a pivotal moment in the history of the Aztec people. Before this divine gift, the Aztecs subsisted on roots and wild game, their diets limited and their potential stifled. The introduction of maize revolutionized their way of life. It became the cornerstone of their agricultural practices, enabling them to cultivate the land and sustain a growing population. Maize was deeply intertwined with the Aztecs' spiritual beliefs. It was believed that humans were created from maize dough, symbolizing a sacred connection between the people and the crop. This belief elevated maize beyond a mere food source to a revered entity deserving of respect and gratitude. The cultivation of maize led to advancements in agricultural techniques and the development of complex societal structures. It allowed for the establishment of permanent settlements, the growth of cities, and the flourishing of art, architecture, and trade. The surplus of maize facilitated economic stability and cultural exchange, solidifying the Aztecs' place in history. However, the journey to obtain maize was fraught with challenges. Quetzalcoatl's descent into Mictlan and the trials he faced underscore the complexities of survival in a world governed by capricious deities. The arduous quest for maize reflects the delicate balance between divine favor and human endeavor, highlighting the lengths to which the Aztecs were willing to go to secure their future. In essence, the gift of maize was more than a practical boon. It was a divine blessing that shaped the very fabric of Aztec society. It nourished their bodies, inspired their spirits, and laid the foundation for a civilization that would leave an indelible mark on history. The rise of Tula, in the annals of Mesoamerican history, few cities shine as brightly as Tula, known to the Aztecs as Tolan. It was a beacon of culture, power, and divine favor. According to legend, Quetzalcoatl, in his earthly guise as Tepiltzin, ascended to the throne of Tula, bringing with him an era of unprecedented prosperity. Under Quetzalcoatl's rule, Tula transformed into a vibrant metropolis. The city was adorned with grand pyramids, expansive ball courts, and intricate temples. The most notable of these was the Pyramid B, also known as the Pyramid of Quetzalcoatl, crowned with towering stone columns resembling Toltec warriors, known as Atlantes. These statues, standing over 4.5 meters tall, symbolize the strength and unity of the Toltec people. The influence of Tula extended far beyond its walls. Merchants, artisans, and scholars from distant lands converged upon the city, drawn by its reputation as a center of learning and culture. The Toltecs, under Quetzalcoatl's guidance, excelled in various arts, including metallurgy, sculpture, and textile production. Their architectural feats, such as the construction of the five-tiered pyramids, showcased their advanced engineering skills. However, the prosperity of Tula was not solely attributed to material achievements. Quetzalcoatl's reign was characterized by a commitment to peace and ethical governance. Unlike other rulers who engaged in human sacrifice, Quetzalcoatl advocated for offerings of birds, butterflies, and snakes, emphasizing harmony with nature and the divine. This approach endeared him to his people and solidified his status as a beloved leader. Yet, the zenith of Tula's glory was not to last. The mythological accounts tell of Quetzalcoatl's eventual departure from the city, driven by a series of trials and temptations orchestrated by the god Tezcatlipoca. This event marked the beginning of Tula's decline, as the city struggled to maintain its former splendor in the absence of its divine ruler. The legacy of the Feathered Serpent Quetzalcóatl, the Feathered Serpent, transcended his role as a mere deity to become a symbol of cultural unity and spiritual continuity across Mesoamerica. His influence extended far beyond the Aztec civilization, impacting various cultures and leaving an indelible mark on history. Cultural and religious influence. The worship of Quetzalcóatl was not confined to the Aztecs alone. Earlier civilizations, such as the Olmecs, Teotihuacanos, and Toltecs, revered similar feathered serpent deities. These cultures shared iconographic elements, such as feathered serpent motifs, indicating a common religious and cultural heritage. For instance, the Olmec civilization, considered the mother culture of Mesoamerica, produced representations of feathered serpents as early as 900 BC, suggesting the deep-rooted significance of this symbol in the region. In Teotihuacan, the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, also known as the Temple of Quetzalcoatl, stands as a testament to the deity's widespread veneration. The pyramid is adorned with feathered serpent heads, highlighting the central role of this symbol in the city's religious life. Symbol of duality and civilization, Quetzalcoatl's imagery as a feathered serpent encapsulates the duality of existence, earth and sky, life and death, material and spiritual. This dual nature made him a fitting patron for various aspects of civilization, including agriculture, learning, and governance. He was associated with the planet Venus, symbolizing the cycles of time and the interplay between light and darkness. Enduring legacy, the legacy of Quetzalcoatl endures in modern times, influencing contemporary culture and thought. His stories and symbols continue to inspire artists, scholars, and spiritual seekers, reflecting a deep-seated connection to the past. In some interpretations, Quetzalcoatl's narrative parallels themes of resurrection and renewal, resonating with universal human experiences. The fall of Tula. The decline of Tula, the once thriving capital of the Toltec civilization, is intricately tied to the myth of Quetzalcoatl's departure. According to legend, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, was a priest king who ruled over Tula with wisdom and compassion. He rejected the practice of human sacrifice, favoring offerings of birds, butterflies, and snakes instead. This approach endeared him to his people and set Tula apart as a beacon of peace and prosperity. However, Quetzalcoatl's reign was challenged by Tezcatlipoca, a rival deity associated with the night sky and sorcery. Tezcatlipoca, envious of Quetzalcoatl's popularity and influence, devised a cunning plan to discredit him. Disguised as an old man, Tezcatlipoca offered Quetzalcoatl a potion that he claimed would grant eternal wisdom. Unaware of the deception, Quetzalcoatl consumed the potion, which turned out to be an intoxicant. Under its influence, he committed acts that were considered disgraceful, including an incestuous relationship with his sister Quetzalcoatl. Upon realizing his actions, Quetzalcoatl was filled with shame and guilt. Believing that he had lost the divine favor and the right to rule, he decided to leave Tula. Before departing, he burned his temples and treasures, symbolizing the end of an era. As he sailed eastward on a raft of serpents, he promised his followers that he would return one day to restore peace and prosperity. With Quetzalcoatl's departure, Tula descended into chaos. The once peaceful city was overtaken by war and human sacrifice, practices that Quetzalcoatl had opposed. The Toltec civilization, which had flourished under his guidance, began to crumble. The myth of Quetzalcoatl's departure and the fall of Tula left a lasting legacy. It became a cautionary tale about the consequences of hubris and the fragility of civilizations. The prophecy of Quetzalcoatl's return persisted, influencing future generations and even impacting historical events. Notably, when the Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortes of New Mexico in 1519, some Aztecs believed him to be the returning Quetzalcoatl, leading to initial peaceful interactions. The return of the feathered serpent central to the mythos of Quetzalcoatl is the prophecy of his return. Promised that he would one day come back to reclaim his throne and restore peace and prosperity to his people. This prophecy became a Aztec belief and had profound implications during the Spanish conquest. According to legend, Quetzalcoatl departed from Tula after being deceived by Tezcatlipoca. Before leaving, he vowed to return from the east to reclaim his rightful place. This narrative was deeply ingrained in the cultural consciousness of Mesoamerican societies, including the Aztecs. The idea of a returning deity was not unique to the Aztecs. Similar myths existed among other cultures in the region, reflecting a shared belief in cyclical time and divine intervention. When herding courts arrived on the coast of Mexico in 1519, an unnerving series of coincidences led some to believe that he might be the returning Quetzalcóatl. Cortes' arrival from the east, his pale complexion and his beard seemed to align with descriptions of Quetzalcóatl. Moreover, the year 1519 corresponded to the Aztec year 1 reed. The same year Quetzalcóatl was said to have been born and died, according to their calendar. This alignment heightened the belief among some that the prophecy was being fulfilled. Emperor Moctezuma II, influenced by these omens and prophecies, reportedly believed that Quartz was the returning god. This belief, whether genuine or strategically employed, led to initial peaceful interactions between the Aztecs and the Spanish conquistadors. However, this perception was later used by the Spanish to justify their conquest, portraying the Aztecs as naive and easily deceived. Modern scholars debate the extent to which the Aztecs believed Quartz to be Quetzalcóatl. Some argue that this narrative was constructed post-conquest, influenced by Spanish missionaries and chroniclers. The Florentine Codex, compiled decades after the conquest, describes Moctezuma's greeting to courts in terms that suggest reverence and recognition of divine status. However, some historians interpret these accounts as diplomatic gestures rather than genuine beliefs in divinity. Regardless of the historical accuracy of these beliefs, the myth of Quetzalcoatl's return underscores the profound impact of cultural narratives on historical events. The prophecy, whether believed or manipulated, played a significant role in the interactions between the Aztecs and the Spanish, influencing the course of history. The sacred calendar in the heart of Aztec civilization, time was not merely a sequence of days. It was a sacred rhythm, a divine pulse that governed the cosmos and human existence. At the center of this temporal framework was the Tonalpohualli, the 260-day ritual calendar that intertwined the spiritual and the temporal in a complex dance of numbers, symbols, and deities. The structure of the Tonalpohualli. The Tonalpohualli was composed of 2 interlocking cycles, 20-day signs. Each day was represented by one of 20 unique symbols, each associated with a specific deity and carrying its own significance. 13 numbers. Each day was also assigned a number from 1 to 13, creating a sequence that repeated every 13 days. This combination of 20-day signs and 13 numbers resulted in a 260-day cycle, a period that was considered both sacred and auspicious. The number 260 is believed to correspond to the human gestation period, linking the calendar to the cycle of life and birth. The role of priests and divination. The Tonalpohualli was more than a mere tool for marking time. It was a divinatory system that guided the Aztecs in their daily lives. Priests, known as Tonalpuque, were trained to interpret the calendar cycles and signs. They would cast horoscopes, predict auspicious and inauspicious days, and advise on the best times for various activities, from warfare to agriculture. Each day in the Tonalpohualli was imbued with specific energies and influences determined by its combination of day, sign, and number. This made each day unique with its own character and potential. For instance, a day governed by the sign Tochfli in the number 1 might be seen as a day of new beginnings and fertility, while a day governed by Kali in the number 13 could be viewed as a day of transformation and spiritual insight. Spiritual and societal significance, the Tonalpohualli was deeply embedded in the spiritual and societal fabric of the Aztec Empire. It dictated the timing of religious ceremonies, festivals, and rituals, ensuring that they aligned with the cosmic order. The calendar's influence extended to all aspects of life, from the construction of temples to the planning of military campaigns. By adhering to the Tonalpohualli, the Aztecs believed they could maintain harmony with the gods and the universe. The calendar was seen as a means to uphold the delicate balance of existence, ensuring that the forces of creation and destruction were in equilibrium. Legacy of the Tonalpohualli. The Tonalpohualli's legacy endures beyond the fall of the Aztec Empire. Its influence can be seen in the surviving codices, such as the Tovar Codex, which document the calendar's structure and use. These codices serve as windows into the spiritual and intellectual life of the Aztecs, preserving a system of timekeeping that was both practical and profoundly sacred. In modern times, the Tonalpohualli continues to captivate scholars and enthusiasts alike, offering insights into a civilization that viewed time not as a linear progression, but as a sacred cycle, a divine rhythm that connected the heavens, the earth, and the human soul. The solar calendar. In the intricate tapestry of Aztec civilization, the Xiuhpohualli, the 365-day solar calendar, served as the backbone of agricultural and ceremonial life, while the Tonalpohualli governed the sacred and ritual aspects of existence. The Xiuhpohualli was deeply intertwined with the rhythms of nature, guiding the Aztecs in their cultivation practices and seasonal festivals. Structure of the Xiuhpohualli. The Xiuhpohualli was meticulously organized into 18 periods of 20 days, known as ventinas, totaling 360 days. These ventinas were further complemented by an additional 5 days, referred to as Nenmantemi, considered inauspicious and set aside for reflection and renewal. This structure not only mirrored the solar year, but also aligned with agricultural cycles, ensuring that the Aztecs could synchronize their farming activities with the changing seasons. Agricultural significance. Each ventina was associated with specific agricultural tasks, such as planting, tending, and harvesting crops. The calendar's design allowed for precise scheduling of these activities, optimizing crop yields and ensuring food security. For instance, the early ventinas coincided with the planting season, while later ones aligned with the harvest period. This synchronization was crucial for maintaining the agricultural economy that sustained the Aztec Empire. Religious and ceremonial role. Beyond its agricultural utility, the Xiuhpohualli held profound religious significance. Each ventina was dedicated to a particular deity, and festivals were held to honor these gods. These ceremonies were integral to maintaining cosmic order and ensuring divine favor. The alignment of agricultural activities with religious observances underscored the Aztecs' belief in the interconnectedness of the natural and spiritual worlds. Legacy and influence. The legacy of the Xiuhpohualli endures in various aspects of modern Mexican culture, particularly in the celebration of traditional festivals that echo the ancient ventinas. While the specific practices have evolved, the underlying principles of aligning agricultural activities with seasonal and spiritual cycles continue to resonate. This enduring connection highlights the lasting impact of the Aztec calendar system on contemporary cultural practices. The interlocking cycles in the intricate framework of the Aztec calendar system, the Tonalpohualli and Xiuhpohualli calendars did not operate in isolation. Their interlocking nature created a complex and harmonious structure that governed both the sacred and temporal aspects of Aztec life. The calendar round. The combination of the 260-day Tonalpohualli and the 365-day Xiuhpohualli resulted in a 52-year cycle, often referred to as the calendar round. This cycle was significant because it represented the period after which the same combination of day signs and numbers would recur. Mathematically, the least common multiple of 260 and 365 is 18,980 days, equating to 52 years. Thus, every 52 years, the two calendars would align, marking the completion of a full cycle. The new fire ceremony. The culmination of each 52-year cycle was marked by the new fire ceremony, a pivotal event in Aztec culture. Held at the end of the calendar round, this ceremony was believed to be essential for the survival of the world. During the new fire ceremony, all fires in the empire were extinguished, and a new fire was kindled on the chest of a sacrificial victim atop a sacred mountain. This act symbolized the renewal of life and the cosmos, ensuring that the sun would continue to rise and the world would persist. Cultural and spiritual significance. The interlocking of the Tonalpohualli and Xupohualli calendars into a 52-year cycle underscored the Aztecs' deep connection between time, spirituality, and the natural world. This cyclical concept of time emphasized the idea of renewal and the perpetual nature of existence. The new fire ceremony, as the apex of this cycle, reinforced the belief that the end of one cycle was not a conclusion, but a transition to a new beginning. Quetzalcóatl's influence in the intricate tapestry of Aztec cosmology. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, emerges not only as a creator deity, but also as a pivotal figure in imparting the sacred knowledge of timekeeping to humanity. His influence permeates the very structure of the Aztec calendar system, intertwining celestial movements with terrestrial existence, divine origin, and dual aspects. Quetzalcóatl's essence embodies duality, mirroring the interplay of light and darkness, life and death. As the morning star, he is Tloizcalpanto, the Lord of the Dawn, symbolizing renewal and hope. Conversely, his association with the evening star reflects themes of endings and transformation. This duality underscores his role as a bridge between realms, guiding the cyclical nature of time and existence. The gift of calendars. According to Aztec mythology, Quetzalcoatl descended from the heavens to bestow upon humanity the sacred knowledge of the Tonalpohualli and Xupohualli calendars. The Tonalpohualli, with its 260-day cycle, serves as a spiritual compass, aligning human activities with divine will. The Xupohualli, a 365-day calendar, governs agricultural and seasonal events, ensuring harmony between human endeavors and the natural world. By imparting these calendars, Quetzalcoatl provided a framework for understanding the cosmos, enabling the Aztecs to synchronize their rituals, agricultural practices, and societal structures with the celestial rhythms. Symbolism and rituals. Quetzalcoatl's teachings are not merely academic. They are deeply embedded in Aztec rituals and symbolism. The Tonalpohualli's 260 days are divided into 20 periods of 13 days, each governed by specific deities and associated with particular symbols. These divisions facilitate the timing of ceremonies, sacrifices, and festivals, ensuring that each action aligns with cosmic forces. The Xupohualli's 365 days are organized into 18 months of 20 days, with an additional 5-day period considered inauspicious. This structure mirrors the agricultural cycle, guiding the planting and harvesting of crops. Festivals dedicated to Quetzalcoatl, such as those occurring on the day One Wind, honor his contributions and reaffirm the connection between the divine and the temporal. Legacy and cultural continuity. Quetzalcoatl's legacy endures in the continued reverence for the Tonalpohualli and Xupohualli calendars. These systems not only structured Aztec society, but also influenced subsequent Mesoamerican cultures. The emphasis on cyclical time, divine alignment, and ritual observance reflects a worldview that sees humanity as an integral part of the cosmos. In contemporary times, elements of these calendars persist in cultural practices and festivals, serving as a testament to Quetzalcoatl's enduring influence on the understanding and measurement of time. The rituals of time. In Aztec society, time was not merely a sequence of moments, but a sacred continuum, intricately woven into the fabric of their religious and cultural practices. The Tonalpohualli and Xupohualli calendars were not just tools for tracking days and seasons. They were divine instruments that guided the rhythm of life, dictating when to plant, harvest, and, most importantly, when to honor the gods through ritual and sacrifice. The sacred calendar, Tonalpohualli. The Tonalpohualli, the 260-day ritual calendar, was central to the spiritual life of the Aztecs. It was divided into 20 periods of 13 days, each governed by a specific deity and associated with particular symbols. This structure was believed to influence the fate and character of individuals born on each day, a concept known as tonali. Priests, known as Tanalpuk, would interpret these day signs to provide guidance on auspicious and inauspicious activities, ensuring that actions aligned with the cosmic order. Rituals based on the Tonalpahuli were deeply embedded in daily life. For instance, certain days were considered favorable for warfare, while others were designated for agricultural activities or healing practices. The calendar's influence extended to personal milestones as well, with ceremonies marking birth, puberty, marriage, and death, all timed according to the Tonalpahuli to ensure harmony with the universe. The solar calendar, Shupawali complementing the Tonalpahuli, was the Shupawali, the 365-day agricultural calendar. This calendar was divided into 18 months of 20 days, with an additional 5-day period considered inauspicious. Each month was associated with specific gods and rituals, reflecting the cyclical nature of the seasons and the agricultural cycle. Festivals aligned with the Shupawali were vital for ensuring bountiful harvests and the well-being of the community. For example, the festival of Toxcatl honored Tezcatlipoca, the god of the night sky and the hunt, and involved ceremonies that sought to cleanse and renew the land. Similarly, the month of Ochbani was dedicated to Tlaloc, the rain god, and involved rituals to invoke rainfall and ensure the fertility of crops. The new fire ceremony, binding of the years. The culmination of the 52-year cycle, known as the century, was marked by the new fire ceremony. This ritual was of paramount importance, as it was believed that failure to perform it would result in the end of the world. The ceremony involved extinguishing all fires and then rekindling them from a new fire, started on the chest of a sacrificial victim atop a sacred mountain. This act symbolized the renewal of the sun and the cosmos, ensuring the continuation of life for another cycle. The new fire ceremony was not merely a religious observance, but a communal reaffirmation of the Aztecs' connection to the divine and the natural world. It reinforced the cyclical concept of time, emphasizing themes of destruction and rebirth, death and renewal, which were central to Aztec cosmology. Daily and seasonal rituals. Beyond the grand ceremonies, daily and seasonal rituals played a crucial role in maintaining the balance between the human and divine realms. Offerings of food, flowers, incense, and blood were made to appease the gods and ensure their favor. These rituals were performed in temples, homes, and fields, integrating spirituality into every aspect of life. Bloodletting, a common practice among the Aztecs, was considered a potent form of offering. Individuals would pierce their ears, tongues, or other body parts to draw blood, which was then offered to the gods. This act was believed to nourish the deities and maintain cosmic harmony. Spiritual significance. The rituals associated with the Tonalpahuli and Shupawali calendars underscored the Aztecs' belief in the interconnectedness of all things. Time was viewed as sacred, and every moment was an opportunity to align oneself with the divine forces that govern the universe. Through these rituals, the Aztecs sought to honor the gods, ensure the fertility of the land, and maintain the cosmic order. In essence, the Aztec calendar system was not just a means of measuring time, but a framework for living in accordance with the divine. It was a testament to their profound understanding of the cyclical nature of existence and their unwavering commitment to maintaining harmony with the cosmos. The first sun in Aztec cosmology. The universe underwent a series of creations and destructions, each governed by a different sun. The first of these was the jaguar sun, known as Nahui Ocelotl in Nahuatl. This era was characterized by the presence of giants and was ultimately destroyed by jaguars. The creation of the first sun. The myth begins with the primordial god, Umito, the deity of duality, who created the four Tezcatlipocas, Quetzalcóatl, Huitzilopochtli, Tototec, and Tezcatlipoca. Together, they sought to create the world. Their first attempt involved sacrificing the monstrous Cipactli, a giant sea creature, to form the earth. After Cipactli was slain, the gods shaped the land and populated it with giants who subsisted on acorns. To provide light for this new world, the gods needed a sun. Tezcatlipoca, the black Tezcatlipoca, offered himself as the first sun. However, due to his sacrifice, he could only shine as a half-sun, casting a dim light upon the earth. The giants of the first sun. The giants created during this era were immense in size and strength. They lived in caves and fed on acorns, living a peaceful existence. However, their size and strength made them incapable of tilling the land or cultivating crops, leading to a reliance on the natural abundance provided by the gods. Despite their physical prowess, the giants lacked the wisdom and cultural development that the gods had hoped to instill. Their inability to engage in agriculture and their primitive lifestyle led to their downfall. The destruction by jaguars. As the giants failed to meet the expectations of the gods, their existence became untenable. In response, Tezcatlipoca became enraged and transformed into a jaguar. He unleashed a horde of jaguars upon the earth, which hunted down and devoured the giants in a violent and bloody purge. This cataclysmic event led to the end of the first sun. The world was plunged into darkness, and the giants were no more. The jaguars, having fulfilled their purpose, vanished, and the earth was left desolate. Legacy of the first sun. The first sun, or Nehuiotl, serves as a foundational myth in Aztec cosmology. It illustrates themes of creation, sacrifice, and the consequences of failing to meet divine expectations. The era's destruction by jaguars symbolizes the destructive power of nature and the god's authority over the fate of the world. This myth also reflects the Aztec worldview, where each era is marked by a different sun and governed by different deities. The cyclical nature of these creations and destructions underscores the transient nature of existence and the importance of aligning with divine will. The second sun in Aztec mythology, the second sun, known as Nehuiotl, marked a new era in the cosmic cycle. This period was characterized by the reign of the god Quetzalcóatl, the feathered serpent who governed both the sun and the wind. Under his rule, a new race of humans was created, differing from those of the previous era. The rise of the second sun. Following the destruction of the first sun, the gods sought to create a new world. Quetzalcóatl, embodying the aspects of wind and air, became the second sun. In this new world, humans were of normal size and subsisted on pinon nuts. This era was known as Nehuiotl, or four-wind, reflecting Quetzalcóatl's dominion over the wind. The transformation into monkeys. Despite the creation of a new human race, the inhabitants of this era failed to honor the gods appropriately. Their disregard for divine teachings led to their downfall. In response, Quetzalcóatl transformed them into monkeys, creatures that were deemed less intelligent and incapable of understanding the god's will. The destruction by wind. With the humans transformed into monkeys, Quetzalcóatl, in his sorrow and frustration, unleashed a great hurricane. This destructive wind swept across the earth, annihilating the remaining beings and signaling the end of the second sun. The survivors, now monkeys, retreated to the tops of trees and mountains, marking the conclusion of this era. Legacy of the second sun. The second sun, or Nehuiotl, serves as a poignant reminder of the importance of reverence and respect for the divine. The transformation of humans into monkeys symbolizes the consequences of neglecting spiritual duties. This era underscores the cyclical nature of existence in Aztec cosmology, where each sun brings forth a new creation, only to be destroyed due to the failings of its inhabitants. The third sun. In Aztec mythology, the third sun, known as Nehuiotl, was an era dominated by water, presided over by the rain god Tlaloc. This period was characterized by the flourishing of aquatic life and the sustenance of its inhabitants through seeds that grew in the water. However, the third sun met a fiery end, marking a significant chapter in the Aztec cosmological narrative. The reign of Tlaloc, the Aztec god of rain, storms, and fertility, was one of the most revered deities in Mesoamerican culture. He was often depicted with goggle-like eyes and fangs, symbolizing his dominion over water and storms. In the third sun, Tlaloc's influence was paramount, as he controlled the rains that nourished the earth and its inhabitants. Under his rule, the world was abundant with water, and the people subsisted on seeds that grew in the aquatic environment. This era was marked by prosperity and harmony, with Tlaloc's blessings ensuring the fertility of the land and the well-being of its people. The infidelity of Quetzalcoatl. Despite the blessings bestowed upon the world, discord arose among the gods. Tezcatlipoca, the god of night and sorcery, coveted Quetzalcóatl, the goddess of beauty and fertility, who was Tlaloc's wife. In an act of betrayal, Tezcatlipoca seduced Quetzalcóatl, leading to a profound sense of betrayal and grief in Tlaloc. Devastated by the infidelity, Tlaloc withdrew his favor from the world, causing the rains to cease. The once fertile land began to wither, and the inhabitants faced the dire consequences of the drought. Their pleas for mercy went unanswered, and the world teetered on the brink of destruction. The rain of fire. In his sorrow and anger, Tlaloc unleashed a catastrophic event upon the earth. He summoned a rain of fire, a fiery deluge that consumed the land. This destructive rain scorched the earth, obliterating the inhabitants and leaving behind a charred and desolate world. The survivors of this fiery apocalypse were transformed into animals, symbolizing the end of the third sun and the beginning of a new era. The transformation into animals such as turkeys, butterflies, and dogs marked the conclusion of the third sun and the transition to the fourth sun, legacy of the third sun. The third sun, or Nehuiquahuatl, serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of harmony and the consequences of betrayal. Tlaloc's withdrawal of favor and the subsequent rain of fire underscore the Aztec belief in the god's power to both create and destroy. The transformation of humans into animals symbolizes the cyclical nature of existence and the constant interplay between creation and destruction in Aztec cosmology. This myth also reflects the Aztec understanding of the interconnectedness between the divine and the mortal realms. The actions of the gods directly influenced the fate of humanity, and the balance between favor and wrath determined the course of the world's history. The fourth sun. In Aztec mythology, the fourth sun, or Nehuiquahuatl, was an era governed by the goddess Chalchiuhtlicue, the deity of freshwater bodies such as rivers, lakes, and streams. Her name, translating to she of the jade skirt, reflects her association with water and fertility. Chalchiuhtlic's reign marked a period of prosperity and abundance, but it ultimately ended in a catastrophic flood, leading to the destruction of the fourth sun. The reign of Chalchiuhtlic's dominion over the fourth sun, was characterized by the flourishing of aquatic life and the sustenance of her people through the abundance of water. Under her rule, the earth was nourished and the people thrived. Chalchiuhtli was revered not only as a life giver, but also as a protector of childbirth and the sick, embodying the nurturing aspects of water. The betrayal and the flood. Despite her benevolent nature, Chalchiuhtlic's reign faced challenges. Tezcatlipoca, a powerful deity associated with night and sorcery, accused Chalchiuhtlic of feigning compassion to gain favor with humanity. In response to this accusation, Chalchiuhtlic became deeply distressed and wept for 52 years. Her tears manifested as torrential rains that inundated the earth, leading to a massive flood that submerged the world. The transformation of humanity. As the floodwaters rose, Chalchiuhtlic sought to protect humanity from the deluge. She transformed the people into fish, allowing them to survive in this submerged world. This act of compassion ensured the continuity of life, even as the fourth sun came to an end. The aftermath and the fifth sun. Following the destruction of the fourth sun, the gods convened to decide the fate of the world. The fifth sun was created, marking the beginning of the current era. This new world was characterized by different elements and deities, and it was believed to be the final creation, destined to last until the end of time. Legacy of the fourth sun. The story of the fourth sun underscores themes of sacrifice, transformation, and the cyclical nature of existence in Aztec cosmology. Chalchiuhtlic's actions reflect the duality inherent in water, both a source of life and a force of destruction. Her transformation of humanity into fish symbolizes adaptability and survival in the face of overwhelming change. The fifth sun in Aztec cosmology. The fifth sun, or Nehuiquahuatl, represents the current era in a series of 5 cosmic cycles. This epic is distinguished by its association with Huitzilopochtli, the god of the sun and war, and is characterized by the belief that it will end through earthquakes, a cataclysmic event foreseen in Aztec mythology. The rise of the fifth sun. The creation of the fifth sun is a pivotal moment in Aztec mythology. After the destruction of the previous suns, the gods convened to decide the fate of the world. The humble god Nanahuatzin sacrificed himself by leaping into a great fire, offering his life to create the sun. His act of self-sacrifice was so profound that the gods, moved by his devotion, followed suit, each jumping into the fire to become suns themselves. However, it was Nanahuatzin's sacrifice that gave birth to the fifth sun, illuminating the world anew. The role of Quetzalcóatl. Quetzalcóatl, the feathered serpent, played a crucial role in the restoration of humanity during the fifth sun. Determined to revive the human race, Quetzalcóatl descended into the underworld, Mictlan, to retrieve the bones of the deceased. He succeeded in stealing the bones of the dead, but upon returning to the surface, he tripped and fell, causing the bones to shatter. Despite this, Quetzalcoatl blood was used to restore the bones, bringing humanity back to life. This act underscored the themes of sacrifice and renewal central to Aztec beliefs. The prophecy of earthquakes. The fifth sun is prophesied to end through earthquakes, a cataclysmic event that will signify the conclusion of this era. This belief underscores the Aztec understanding of time as cyclical, with each sun representing a different phase in the cosmic order. The anticipation of the fifth sun's end reflects the Aztec worldview that all things are transient and subject to divine will. The importance of sacrifice to ensure the continued existence of the fifth sun. The Aztecs believed that regular sacrifices were necessary. These offerings, often human, were made to appease the gods and to maintain the balance of the cosmos. The act of sacrifice was seen as a means to repay the gods for their creation of the world and to sustain the forces that governed it. Legacy of the fifth sun. The fifth sun holds a significant place in Aztec culture and religion. It represents the current era, characterized by human existence and the belief in the necessity of sacrifice to sustain the world. The myth of the fifth sun underscores themes of creation, destruction, and renewal, reflecting the cyclical nature of existence in Aztec cosmology. The creation of humanity, the journey to Mictlan in Aztec mythology. The creation of humanity is intricately linked to the underworld, known as Mictlan. The god Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, embarked on a perilous journey to this realm to retrieve the bones of past generations, which were essential for the creation of new humans. Accompanied by his twin, Xochitl, Quetzalcoatl descended into Mictlan, the domain of the death god Mictlantecuhtli. Their mission was to obtain the bones of the previous inhabitants of the world, whose remains were preserved in the underworld. These bones were crucial for the formation of the new human race. The journey through Mictlan was fraught with challenges, as the underworld was a place of trials and dangers. Quetzalcoatl and Xochitl had to navigate through 9 levels, each presenting its own set of obstacles. Despite these challenges, their determination remained steadfast, driven by the need to restore humanity. Upon reaching the deepest part of Mictlan, Quetzalcoatl and Xochitl encountered Mictlantecuhtli. The god of the underworld, recognizing their purpose, agreed to provide the bones. However, he set conditions that tested their resolve and cunning. In one version of the myth, Quetzalcoatl used his intelligence to deceive Mictlantecuhtli, ensuring the bones were obtained. In another, Quetzalcoatl's sincerity and persistence won the god's favor, leading to the acquisition of the bones without deceit. With the bones secured, Quetzalcoatl and Xochitl began their ascent back to the surface. However, their journey was not without further trials. They had to outwit various challenges and adversaries, including the lords of Mictlan, who sought to prevent their escape. Despite these obstacles, Quetzalcoatl and Xochitl successfully returned to the surface with the bones. This act was pivotal in Aztec mythology, as it set the stage for the creation of humanity and the continuation of life on Earth. The story of Quetzalcoatl's journey to Mictlan underscores themes of sacrifice, determination, and the interplay between life and death. It highlights the belief that the gods played an active role in shaping human existence and that the boundaries between the living and the dead were fluid and interconnected. This myth also reflects the Aztec understanding of the cosmos, where the underworld was not merely a place of punishment, but a realm integral to the cycle of life and death. The retrieval of the bones symbolizes the cyclical nature of existence, where death is not an end, but a precursor to renewal and rebirth. The sacrifice of Quetzalco. In Aztec mythology, the creation of humanity is deeply intertwined with the concept of divine sacrifice. After retrieving the bones of previous generations from the underworld, Quetzalcoatl faced the challenge of imbuing these bones with life. To achieve this, he performed a profound act of self-sacrifice, shedding his own blood to mix with the bones, thereby giving birth to the first humans of the fifth son. The act of self-sacrifice. Quetzalcoatl's self-sacrifice is a central theme in Aztec creation myths. According to various versions of the myth, he shed his blood in several ways, piercing his tongue. By drawing blood from his tongue, Quetzalcoatl symbolized the power of speech and communication, essential for the transmission of knowledge and culture. Cutting his earlobes. This act represented the offering of his senses, acknowledging the importance of perception and awareness in guiding humanity. Pricking his genitals. This gesture was a symbol of fertility and the continuation of life, emphasizing the role of reproduction in sustaining the human race. In some accounts, Quetzalcoatl's blood was collected and mixed with the bones of the previous generations. This mixture was then used to form the new human beings of the fifth son. The act of combining blood with bone underscored the interconnectedness of life, death, and rebirth in Aztec cosmology. Symbolism of the sacrifice. Quetzalcoatl's self-sacrifice holds profound symbolic meaning. Creation through sacrifice. The act of shedding blood to create life reflects the Aztec belief that creation and destruction are intertwined processes. Divine intercession. By offering his own essence, Quetzalcoatl bridged the gap between the divine and the mortal, facilitating the continuation of humanity. Cycle of life. The sacrifice emphasizes the cyclical nature of existence, where death leads to renewal and transformation. This narrative also highlights the importance of sacrifice in Aztec religion, where offerings to the gods were seen as essential for maintaining cosmic balance and ensuring the prosperity of the people. The legacy of Quetzalcoatl's sacrifice. Quetzalcoatl's self-sacrifice established a precedent for the Aztec practice of ritual offerings. It underscored the belief that the gods' favor could be earned through acts of devotion, and that such offerings were necessary to sustain the world. The myth also reinforced the idea that humanity's existence was a gift from the gods, one that required gratitude and reverence. The gift of maize in Aztec mythology, Quetzalcoatl, the Feathered Serpent, bestowed upon humanity the sacred gift of maize, a fundamental element of their diet and culture. This act not only provided sustenance, but also symbolized Quetzalcoatl as a nurturer and teacher to humankind. The discovery of maize. According to legend, Quetzalcoatl observed a red ant carrying a kernel of maize. Intrigued, he followed the ant to a mountain where the gods had concealed the maize. Determined to share this vital resource with humanity, Quetzalcoatl transformed into an ant and squeezed through a narrow crack in the mountain. There, he retrieved a kernel of maize and returned it to the people, teaching them how to plant and cultivate it. Symbolism and significance. Maize was not merely a food source. It was imbued with deep spiritual and cultural significance. The Aztecs believed that humans were created from maize dough, and thus maize was considered sacred. Quetzalcoatl's gift of maize represented the divine provision for life and the interconnectedness between the gods and humanity. Cultural impact. The introduction of maize revolutionized Aztec society, leading to advancements in agriculture, cuisine, and religious practices. Maize became central to their diet, used in various forms such as tortillas, tamales, and beverages like atole. It also played a pivotal role in rituals and offerings to the gods, underscoring its sacred status. Quetzalcoatl's gift of maize exemplifies the Aztec belief in the gods' active role in sustaining and guiding humanity. It highlights the symbiotic relationship between the divine and the mortal, where the god's blessings were essential for the flourishing of life. The birth of civilization, Quetzalcóatl's gifts to humanity extended beyond sustenance. They laid the foundation for the flourishing of Aztec civilization. Through his teachings and divine interventions, he imparted essential knowledge and skills that transformed the Aztecs from primitive societies into a complex and advanced culture. Agricultural advancements. Building upon his gift of maize, Quetzalcóatl introduced advanced agricultural techniques. He taught the cultivation of various crops, including beans, squashes, and chilies, which became staples in the Aztec diet. Additionally, he instructed the people in the use of irrigation systems and terracing, allowing them to maximize crop yields and adapt to the challenging landscapes of central Mexico. Development of writing and calendars. Quetzalcóatl is credited with the creation of the Aztec writing system and the development of their complex calendar systems. He introduced the use of codices, folded bark books on which scribes recorded historical events, religious texts, and genealogies. The Tonalpohualli, a 260-day ritual calendar, and the Xiuhpohualli, a 365-day agricultural calendar, were among the systems he taught, facilitating the organization of religious ceremonies and agricultural activities. Advancement in arts and crafts. Under Quetzalcóatl's guidance, the Aztecs mastered various crafts. They learned to work with jade, gold, and obsidian, creating intricate jewelry, tools, and ceremonial items. The art of dyeing cotton to produce vibrant textiles was also introduced, leading to a flourishing of artistic expression and trade. Establishment of governance and social order. Quetzalcóatl's influence extended to the political realm, where he established systems of governance and social order. He introduced concepts of law and justice, promoting fairness and the welfare of the community. The organization of labor and tribute systems, essential for the functioning of the empire, were also attributed to his teachings. Religious and cultural practices. In the religious sphere, Quetzalcóatl emphasized the importance of self-sacrifice over human sacrifice. He taught the people to offer their own blood by pricking themselves with maguey thorns, a practice that became central to Aztec religious rituals. This shift in practice reflected his teachings on humility and devotion. Through these contributions, Quetzalcóatl played a pivotal role in shaping the Aztec civilization. His teachings not only provided the tools for survival, but also instilled a sense of identity, purpose, and unity among the people. The legacy of his gifts continues to be celebrated in Aztec culture and beyond. The legacy of Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, the Feathered Serpent, stands as one of the most revered deities in Mesoamerican cultures, particularly among the Aztecs. His influence permeated various aspects of Aztec society, from religion and governance to art and education. Even after the Spanish conquest, elements of his legacy persisted, intertwining with new cultural narratives and continuing to inspire modern expressions of identity and spirituality. Enduring influence in Aztec society. In Aztec civilization, Quetzalcoatl was not merely a deity, but a central figure embodying wisdom, creativity, and the sustenance of life. He was associated with the wind, Venus, the sun, merchants, arts, crafts, knowledge, and learning. As the patron god of the Aztec priesthood, he played a pivotal role in religious and cultural practices. His teachings on agriculture, writing, and governance laid the foundation for a sophisticated society that valued education, justice, and communal well-being. Syncretism and cultural resilience. Following the Spanish conquest, the suppression of indigenous religions led to the blending of Quetzalcoatl attributes with Catholic figures. This syncretism allowed aspects of his mythology to endure in the collective consciousness of Mesoamerican communities. For instance, the Virgin Mary was sometimes depicted with attributes reminiscent of Quetzalcoatl, symbolizing a continuity of indigenous spirituality within a new religious framework. Modern symbol of identity and spirituality. In contemporary times, Quetzalcoatl has experienced a resurgence as a symbol of indigenous identity, cultural heritage, and spiritual awakening. He is invoked in art, literature, and political movements, representing a connection to a rich and complex past. His image as the feathered serpent continues to inspire, embodying the duality of human nature and the cosmos. Quetzalcóatl in the Aztec calendar. The Aztec calendar, particularly the Tonalpohualli, was intricately linked to Quetzalcóatl. He was associated with the year Syacatl, which was considered a significant year in Aztec cosmology. This connection underscores his role in the cyclical nature of time and the universe, reflecting the Aztec belief in the perpetual renewal and destruction of worlds. Conclusion: Quetzalcóatl's legacy as a creator god, protector of humanity, and symbol of rebirth continues to influence modern depictions of Mesoamerican culture. His enduring presence in art, spirituality, and cultural identity serves as a testament to the resilience and continuity of indigenous traditions. As a figure who bridges the past and present, Quetzalcóatl remains a powerful emblem of the deep spiritual connections between humanity, the natural world, and the divine. The prophecy's origins. The day Syacatl holds profound importance in Aztec cosmology, not merely as a calendrical marker, but as a prophetic symbol tied to Quetzalcoatl. In the Aztec ritual and solar calendars, each combination of a number and a day sign creates a unique day. When the name Syacatl recurs, it evokes the memory of the time associated with the legendary god-ruler himself. In Toltec lore, Syacatl Tepiltzin Quetzalcoatl, a mortal incarnation of the god, famously bore this calendrical name, one reed signifying his birth and identity among the people. This cosmic label carried deep symbolic weight. Beyond marking the Toltec king's era, it formed the cornerstone of a prophecy. Quetzalcoatl would return to reclaim his role in a future Syacatl. The prophecy was mythic in nature, entwining cyclical time and divine kingship, a promise of cosmic renewal and rightful restoration. In the worldview of the Aztecs, who deeply considered time as cyclical, each Syacatl wasn't just another calendar date. It symbolized a moment when cosmic contracts could be renewed, and the feathered serpent might reappear to guide humanity once again. This expectation infused calendar observances with a spiritual depth, blurring the lines between myth, prophecy, and lived reality. Quetzalcoatl's return in Aztec lore. Quetzal, not merely a god, but once a priest-king known as Syacatl Tepiltzin, vowed to return. His departure, whether by sailing east on a raft of serpents or immolation, occurred in a Syacatl day, echoing his birth and signaling the cyclical nature of time. This wasn't a one-off myth, it established a cosmological rhythm. Every Syacatl became a potential moment of reawakening. Among the Nahua, key events were tied to those sacred days when the cosmic contract might be renewed, when the feathered serpent could reappear to restore an era of peace. Embedded in this prophecy was hope and tension. Hope that Quetzalcoatl would return to renew the world. Tension because each passing Syacatl without his return reinforced a sense of chaos and divine abandonment. Thus, every time the calendar reached one reed, the air would tingle with expectation rituals were performed. Offerings made just in case the prophecy took shape. Montezuma's expectations. By 1519, Montezuma II, high priest and emperor, was living in the ancient shadow of prophecy. His advisors had warned him of 8 ominous signs over the previous decade. Columns of fire, comets streaking through the sky, droughts, floods, spectral visions, and even reports of 2-headed men and Tenochtitlan, all interpreted as portents of doom and transformation for the empire. Crucially, Montezuma was informed that 1519 coincided with the year Syacatl. One reed, the sacred year linked to Quetzalcoatl's departure and promised return. The convergence of these portentous signs, the calendar prophecy, and the arrival of strange pale, bearded foreigners approaching from the east, the direction Quetzalcoatl was said to return, created a potent sense of foreboding and expectation. But was Montezuma truly convinced Quartz was divine? The canonical Florentine Codex suggests he welcomed the newcomers as great rulers, potentially even gods, but modern analysis challenges this. Historians note no reference in Quartz's own letters to being mistaken for a god. In fact, Montezuma reportedly emphasized that the Spaniards were human flesh and blood suggesting caution, not worship. According to the Florentine Codex, Montezuma's speech to courts alongside the Spaniards' uncanny alignment with the one-reed year deepened the ambiguity. But historians like Camilla Townsend point out that this narrative likely emerged post-conquest, shaped by Franciscan friars and written decades later by informants already influenced by Spanish Christian theology. Yet regardless of the myth's historical accuracy, Montezuma's behavior welcoming emissaries with regal curiosity, presenting gifts, and exercising protocol suggests he was deeply unsettled, torn between reverence for tradition and a keen wariness of an unprecedented threat. In essence, Montezuma stood at a crossroads, guided by prophetic tradition, confronted with uncanny omens and weighed down by the enormity of unexpected visitors. Whether he fully believed Quartz was the feathered serpent is debatable, but his hesitation and deference set the stage for the events to come. The arrival of the Spanish. In 1519, the year of Siacal, one reed, Quetzalcóatl's sacred date Hernan Quartz and his small expedition made landfall on the Gulf Coast of present-day Mexico. This marked the beginning of a journey that would alter history. His arrival carried an uncanny déjà vu for the Aztecs, pale-skinned men with beards, riding enormous beast horses, and displaying strange metal weapons that roared like thunder, a scene utterly unlike anything seen in the Valley of Mexico. These foreign apparitions coincided with the arrival of 8 portents that had terrified Emperor Montezuma II over the preceding year's firestorms. Comets, temple fires, floods, and eerie omens such as spectral warriors and two-headed figures, all considered warnings that the sky gods were warning of seismic change. When Montezuma's messengers met Quartz, they reportedly brought not only elaborate gifts, but possibly the penacho, the feathered headdress of Quetzalcoatl. Placed upon Quartz as a gesture of homage, the Spaniards quickly imprisoned the messengers to control their own image. As Quartz approached Tenochtitlan on November 8, 1519, Emperor Montezuma greeted him with both caution and ceremony. Presenting cross-cultural deference through ritualized embraces, Montezuma's emissaries greeted them as though welcoming a dignitary of the gods, an attitude captured in the Florentine Codex, though modern scholars now view these narratives as more diplomatic than divine. This moment's arrival during the prophesied Siacal, with omens long foretold and bearing vestiges of Quetzalcoatl, laid the psychological groundwork for confusion, respect, and ultimately tragic miscalculation. The aftermath, what began as a hopeful prophecy, Quetzalcoatl returning on Siacal, evolved into one of the most consequential misunderstandings in history. The belief, whether genuine or post facto, that Quartz's arrival in 1519 during the Sacred One Reed signified Quetzalcoatl's return, had far-reaching effects on the fate of the Aztec Empire. Erosion of confidence and authority. Emperor Montezuma's cautious deference during his initial meetings with the Spaniards, now interpreted as stemming from divine expectation, undermined his authority among his own people. While later European sources portrayed him as passive or overwhelmed by superstition, modern scholarship highlights that this narrative was shaped after the fact by colonial chroniclers. In reality, Moctezuma may have been pragmatic and politically cautious, not overtly superstitious. Political and cultural dislocation, the idea that divine prophecy was unfolding before him, prevented Montezuma from responding decisively. Instead of resisting, the emperor offered lavish gifts and hospitality, weakening his perceived strength and emboldening Quartz. This misstep, rooted in prophetic expectation, facilitated the Spaniards' deeper infiltration into Tenochtitlan. Catastrophic outcomes. The disruption of Aztec societal order combined with smallpox, military alliances between Quartz and indigenous enemies, and technological advantages culminated in a devastating siege. By August 1521, Tenochtitlan had fallen, and the Aztec Empire collapsed not through divine retribution, but through a lethal mix of disease and politics. Myth into memory. In the turbulent years that followed, the narrative of Quartz as Quetzalcoatl became a mythic explanation for the empire's swift fall. Scholars like Matthew Restall now read it as a post-conquest rationalization, a way to make sense of unparalleled defeat and cosmic betrayal. A legacy of ambiguity. The Sea Aka prophecy lives on not as historical fact, but as a mirror reflecting both Aztec hopes and Spanish manipulation. The blurred line between myth and politics reminds us that legend shape fates, not always in straightforward ways, but often with profound consequence. The 52-year cycle. At the heart of Aztec timekeeping lay two interwoven systems, the Tonalpohualli and the Xiuhpohualli. Every 52 years, these calendars completed what was known as the calendar round, their least common multiple, totaling 18,980 days. This period, sometimes referred to as Xiuhpili or Tocthuampilia, represented a full cosmic cycle, and its ending was no mere milestone, but a threshold of existential peril. The binding of the years rested on a grim cosmic principle. If the calendars realigned and the sun failed to return, the world might end. Collective anxiety, built as flames across the realm, flickered out in unison, symbolizing the cosmic void. The new fire ceremony wasn't optional, it was imperative. Without it, in Aztec belief, dawn might never come. This cycle's conclusion wasn't just a calendrical curiosity, it was charged with cosmic renewal or annihilation, and grounded in centuries of ritual tradition. Every 52-year span was sanctified by deep-rooted fear and divine hope, setting the stage for one of the most dramatic ceremonies in human history. Preparation for the ceremony. As the 52-year calendar round approached its end, Aztec society entered a tense, sacred pause. Every household and temple began preparing in reverent silence for the new fire ceremony, aware that this ritual determined whether their world would survive or perish. Extinguishing the fires. Days before the event, all fires were deliberately extinguished, from hearths in humble homes to permanent flames in grand temples, including those dedicated to Xiuhpohualli, the fire god. This act of communal unlighting symbolized the world's plunge into cosmic twilight and the end of the old cycle. For Aztecs, darkness meant potential doom. If the new fire was not successfully ignited, the sun might never rise again. Purification and purge with fires gone. People conducted a massive purification purge. Hearthstones, cooking pots, utensils, idols, and garments were ceremoniously thrown out, cleansing the world of remnants from the past cycle. Homes and streets were swept and washed. Idols were cleansed. Worn objects were replaced. The symbolic bundle of 52 reeds, the Xiuhpili, was constructed to embody the calendar round itself. Ascetic rigors and fasting. Spiritual readiness was vital. Priests, warriors, and nobles practiced fasting and abstinence for days, sometimes weeks prior. Some priests underwent fasts for nearly a year. Commoners also fasted, though less rigorously. Cleansing rituals included ritual bloodletting, wearing penitential ropes, and sleep deprivation. Pregnant women were secluded to avoid transforming into cosmic beings, while children were kept awake lest they become mice or monsters. Silent vigil on the eve of the ceremony. As night descended, an imperial hush fell across the capital. Citizens climbed rooftops and rafts along Lake Texcoco, standing in near silence and anticipation. They watched the sky, especially for the Pleiades to reach its zenith, a celestial sign that the moment of renewal had arrived. Ritual procession. When the skies were right, priests and nobles donned masks, especially turquoise ones representing Xiuhpohualli, and marched in solemn procession to Quetzalcóatl, the hill of the star on the eastern shore of Lake Texcoco. Clad as deities, they carried the Xiuhpili, establishing a physical and symbolic bridge between heavens and earth, gods and people. The lighting of the new fire on the darkest, coldest night marking the end of the calendar round, the silhouette of the priesthood could be seen atop Quetzalcóatl, the hill of the star. Here, under a sliver of sky dominated by the Pleiades, the Aztec fire drill constellation, the fate of the cosmos hung in the balance. The high-stakes moment unfolds. As temples lay silent and homes stood extinguished, a solitary priest draped in turquoise, face-painted, heart-pounding stepped forward. In his hands were wood bits, bamboo drills, and a sacrificial victim whose fate would determine whether the sun would rise again. With ritual precision, the priest leaned over the still body. Using a fire drill, a cylindrical stone or wooden shaft spun vigorously against another wooden plank, he generated clouds of smoke and embers. Every inhalation of hot dust echoed the cosmos' tension. Suddenly, a spark caught. The fire flashed to life on the victim's chest as his heart was torn free. This was no ordinary blaze. It was the primordial flame, the cosmic spark meant to rekindle the world, the spread of light. Once the sacred flame burned bright, its power had to be shared. Priests ignited Shumopili bundles, symbols of the 52-year cycle, and handed them to torchbearers. These runners raced across the Valley of Mexico, carrying the flame to over 600 hearths, including the twin temples of Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc, then to smaller temples, and finally the homes of commoners. As torches lit up each shrine and hearth, ordinary people stepped outside and set fire to pit fires of their own. The night sky, once starved of light, suddenly shimmered with fiery life. Drums singing the scent of copal resin, and the sound of bloodletting rituals where people pierced ears and offered drops of blood to the flames filled the hush with transformative energy. The role of sacrifice, human sacrifice, in the new fire ceremony wasn't an optional flourish. It was the spiritual lifeblood of the ritual. Without it, the cosmos risked collapse. This ceremony, deeply tied to the deities Xuchitlicue and Hueytotl, demanded the ultimate offering, a human life to ensure the sun would continue its daily course and to safeguard the universe itself. A captive as sacred vessel, the Aztecs selected a war captive, often a noble from a conquered city, aged around 52 years, symbolically aligned with the end of the calendar cycle. This honored captive, such as Xuchitliman in 1507, was chosen for his status and destiny. He would be bound at the hill of the star, represented as the cosmic axis between earth and sky. The ritual of the heart and flame. At midnight, under the zenith of the Pleiades, priests with faces masked in turquoise performed the ritual on the captive. Using a fire drill, they sparked an ember in the captive's chest cavity, then extracted his beating heart, the ultimate conduit of Teolia, the life force of humans. The heart was cast into the nascent flame, symbolically fueling the fire that would reignite the sun. This act wasn't merely symbolic, it was considered essential to rekindle the cosmos. If the fire failed to catch, the Aztecs believed the Tzitzimian star demons would descend and devour the world. Sacrifice as universal reciprocity. This extreme sacrifice echoed a deeper theology. The gods themselves had sacrificed to create the world. From Nanahuatzin's leap into the fire to become the sun, to Quetzalcóatl blending divine blood with bones, Aztec cosmology posited that sacrifice sustains existence. By offering their own blood and life, humans entered into a cosmic partnership, blood for blood, life for life, a tangible contract to preserve the universe. Communal sacrifice and blood offerings, though the central act involved a human sacrifice, the ritual didn't end there. As the new flame moved through the city and into private homes, commoners would prick ears, drink copal resin incense, and offer their own blood to the hearth fire, continuing the cycle of sacrifice and devotion. Even everyday offerings reinforced the sacred balance, the renewal of the world after the dawn breaking. Climax, the lighting of the sacred new fire, the Aztecs believed the cosmos itself had been reborn. This wasn't just myth, it was the practical heartbeat of their world, recalibrated and reaffirmed. A new cosmic order. With the new fire blazing on the chest of the sacrificial captive, the Aztecs saw this as proof that the gods had granted reprieve. The world would continue another 52-year cycle. The sun would faithfully rise and set. The rains would come and the cosmos would hold steady. The ceremony marked a fresh beginning, binding of the years that repaired the cosmic clock. Restoration of temple and temple hearths, the sacred flame was instantly shared. Runners carried it to the temple of Huitzilopochtli, Tlac's shrine, and across the empire to local temples and homes. This act symbolized the continuity of divine favor and political unity, ensuring that every corner of Aztec society re-entered the new cycle in harmony. Communal celebrations and sacred vow. Night darkness surrendered to song, incense, and dancing. Many cut their ears or tongues, offering fresh blood into their hearth fires, a communal reenactment of divine sacrifice. These offerings weren't perfunctory. They were acts of cosmic stewardship, pledges that humanity would repay the gods' gift by nourishing the world with their own lifeblood. Social and political renewal. The new fire ceremony also served as a political statement. It reaffirmed the central authority of the emperor and Tenochtitlan itself as the cosmic nexus. Temple priests, nobles, and commoners stood together in ritual synchronization, reinforcing imperial control while renewing the empire's collective spirit. A cycle continues. While the ceremony itself was anchored in tradition, the renewal wasn't purely symbolic. Following the ritual, farmers sowed fresh fields, artisans crafted new tools, and construction on temples and roads resumed, driven by renewed faith and divine support. The new fire ceremony marked more than the start of another 52 years. It was a cosmic reset, a societal reboot ensuring that the machinations of time remained in human hands. The blazing new flame turned fear into hope, darkness into illumination, and cyclical dread into future promise. The 20-day signs, the Aztec sacred calendar, known as the Tonalpohualli, was a 260-day cycle composed of 20 distinct day signs, each representing a unique deity and cosmic force. These signs were not merely symbols. They embodied the essence of the natural and spiritual worlds, influencing everything from agriculture to personal destiny. The 20-day signs and their associated gods and symbols are as follows. Saipakli, associated with Tonactecutli, the god of sustenance and creator of the world, symbolized by a crocodile, representing the earth's primordial state. Ehikatl, governed by Quetzalcóatl, the feathered serpent god of wind and learning, represented by the wind, symbolizing breath and life force. Kali, presided over by Tepialotl, the god of the echoing hills and jaguar, symbolized by a house representing shelter and community. Quetzalcóatl, ruled by Huocoyotl, the old god of music and dance, represented by a lizard, symbolizing agility and transformation. Quetzalcóatl, associated with Chalchiuhtlic, the goddess of water and fertility, symbolized by a snake, representing renewal and fertility. Miquitli, governed by Tecusitecao, the god of the moon, represented by death, symbolizing the end and transformation. Mizatl, ruled by Tlaloc, the god of rain and agriculture, symbolized by a deer, representing abundance and sacrifice. Kochli, associated with Mayahul, the goddess of Magwe and fertility, symbolized by a rabbit, representing fertility and abundance. Acatl, presided over by Tezcatlipoca, the god of night and sorcery, symbolized by a reed, representing strength and resilience. Kali, governed by Tepialotl, the god of the echoing hills and jaguar, symbolized by a house, representing shelter and community. Quetzalcóatl, ruled by Huocoyotl, the old god of music and dance, symbolized by a lizard, representing agility and transformation. Quetzalcóatl, associated with Chalchiuhtlic, the goddess of water and fertility, symbolized by a snake, representing renewal and fertility. Miquitli, governed by Tecusitecatl, the god of the moon, represented by death, symbolizing the end and transformation. Mizatl, ruled by Tlaloc, the god of rain and agriculture, symbolized by a deer, representing abundance and sacrifice. Kochli, associated with Mayahul, the goddess of Magwe and fertility, symbolized by a rabbit, representing fertility and abundance. Acatl, presided over by Tezcatlipoca, the god of night and sorcery, symbolized by a reed, representing strength and resilience. Kali, governed by Tepialotl, the god of the echoing hills and jaguar, symbolized by a house, representing shelter and community. Quetzalcóatl, ruled by Huocoyotl, the old god of music and dance, symbolized by a lizard, representing agility and transformation. Quetzalcóatl, associated with Chalchiuhtlic, the goddess of water and fertility, symbolized by a snake, representing renewal and fertility. Miquitli, governed by Tecusitecatl, the god of the moon, represented by death, symbolizing the end and transformation. Each of these day signs was integral to the Aztec understanding of time and the universe. They were used to determine auspicious days for various activities, including rituals, agriculture, and personal milestones. The combination of these day signs with the 13 numbers created a complex and meaningful calendar system that guided the lives of the Aztec people. The 13 numbers in the Aztec sacred calendar, the Tenalpahuli, the number 13 held profound significance. This number was not arbitrary. It was deeply embedded in Aztec cosmology and religious practices. Cosmological significance. The number 13 was associated with the Tresna, a 13-day period that formed the basic unit of the Tonalpahuli. Each Tresna was ruled by a specific deity and was considered a microcosm of the larger cosmic order. The number 13 was believed to represent the 13 levels of heaven, reflecting the Aztec understanding of the universe's structure, divine influence. Each of the 13 numbers was linked to a specific deity, and the combination of a number and a day sign created a unique day with its own divine influence. For example, the number 1 was associated with the god Tonacatlicue, the creator deity, while the number 13 was linked to the goddess Quetzalcóatl, associated with purification and transformation. These associations influenced the nature of the day and were used to determine auspicious times for various activities. Ritual and ceremony. The 13-day periods were integral to Aztec rituals and ceremonies. Each Tresna had its own set of rituals, prayers, and offerings, all timed to align with the specific energies and influences of the number and its associated deity. This structure allowed the Aztecs to maintain harmony with the cosmos and ensure the favor of the gods. Cultural and social impact. The 13 numbers also played a role in social and cultural practices. For instance, individuals' birth dates, determined by the combination of a number and a day sign, were believed to influence their personality and destiny. This system provided a framework for understanding one's place in the world and guided personal and communal decisions. The combination of signs and numbers. In the Aztec sacred calendar, the Tonalpahuli, the interplay between the 20-day signs and the 13 numbers created a complex and meaningful system that governed daily life. Each day was uniquely identified by a combination of one day sign and one number, resulting in 260 distinct days within the cycle. This system was not merely a method of timekeeping. It was a spiritual framework that influenced various aspects of Aztec society. The structure of the cycle. The Tonalpahuli operated on a 260-day cycle, composed of 20 periods of 13 days, known as tresnas. Each tresna was associated with a specific deity and had its own set of rituals and significance. The numbers 1 through 13 cycled through each of the 20-day signs, creating a unique combination for each day. For example, the first day of the cycle was 1 Sipakli, followed by 2 Ihitol, 3 Kali, and so on until 13 Acatl. After reaching 13, the numbers would reset to 1, and the cycle would continue with the next day sign in the sequence. This pattern repeated until all 260 days were accounted for. Divine associations. Each of the 20-day signs was linked to a specific deity or elemental force. For instance, Sipakli was associated with the god Tonacatlicue, Ihako with Quetzalcoatl, and Acatl with Tezcatlipoca. Similarly, each of the 13 numbers had its own divine association, influencing the nature of the day. The combination of a day sign and a number determined the day's unique characteristics and its associated deity. Spiritual and practical implications. The unique combination of day signs and numbers assigned to each day had profound spiritual and practical implications. It influenced religious ceremonies, agricultural activities, and even personal events such as births and marriages. For example, certain days were considered auspicious for planting crops, while others were deemed appropriate for specific deities' rituals. Individuals' birth dates, determined by the combination of day sign and number, were believed to influence their destiny and character. This system also played a crucial role in divination. Priests and spiritual leaders would consult the Tonalpohualli to determine the most favorable days for various activities. Ensuring harmony with the divine forces, the calendar was a tool for maintaining balance between the human and spiritual realms. Reflecting the Aztec worldview that time was cyclical and deeply intertwined with the cosmos. The role in daily life, the Tonalpohualli. The sacred 260-day calendar of the Aztecs permeated every facet of daily life, intertwining the spiritual and the mundane in a seamless tapestry. Each day, defined by its unique combination of a number and a day sign, was imbued with specific energies and divine associations that influenced personal actions, societal roles, and communal activities. Personal identity and destiny. From birth, individuals were assigned a specific day, sign, and number, forming their tonal a personal identity that was believed to shape their character, fate, and life path. This assignment was not arbitrary. It was a divine imprint that guided personal decisions and interactions. For instance, a person born on the day Ehiketo might be seen as a communicator or mediator, while one born on Miquitli could be associated with transformation or endings. These associations were integral to understanding one's role within the community and the cosmos. Agricultural planning. The Tonalpohualli also played a critical role in agricultural practices. Certain days were considered auspicious for planting, harvesting, or conducting rituals to ensure bountiful crops. Priests and farmers alike consulted the calendar to determine the most favorable days for sowing maize. The staple crop, or for performing ceremonies to honor Tlaloc, the rain god, to ensure adequate rainfall. This integration of spiritual guidance into agricultural planning underscored the Aztec belief in the interconnectedness of the divine and the natural world. Rituals and ceremonies. Daily rituals and ceremonies were meticulously timed according to the Tonalpohualli. Each day was dedicated to specific deities, and offerings, prayers, and dances were performed to honor them. For example, on days ruled by Tezcatlipoca, rituals might focus on introspection and purification, while days ruled by Quetzalcóatl could involve celebrations of beauty and fertility. These practices reinforce the cyclical nature of time and the perpetual renewal of the cosmos. Social and political life. The Tonalpohualli also influenced social and political life. Ceremonial events, such as the coronation of rulers or the dedication of temples, were scheduled according to the calendar to align with auspicious days. This alignment was believed to ensure the success and legitimacy of the event. Similarly, military campaigns were often timed to coincide with days deemed favorable for warfare, as determined by the calendar. This practice highlighted the Aztec understanding of time as a force that could be harnessed for both governance and conquest. Education and community life. Education in Aztec society was deeply intertwined with the Tonalpohualli. Youth were taught to read the calendar and understand the significance of each day. This knowledge was imparted in institutions like the Telpochcali and the Comicac, where students learned not only the calendar, but also the rituals, songs, and dances associated with each day. This education ensured that the community remained connected to the divine rhythms of the cosmos and upheld the cultural traditions that defined the Aztec society. The spiritual significance. The Tonalpohualli, the sacred 260-day calendar of the Aztecs, was not merely a tool for tracking time. It was a profound spiritual framework that permeated every aspect of Aztec life. Each day, defined by a unique combination of a number and a day sign, was imbued with specific energies and divine associations that influenced personal actions, societal roles, and communal activities. This intricate system reflected the Aztec worldview, where time was cyclical and the divine was intimately connected to the natural and human worlds. Cosmic harmony and divine order. At the heart of the Tonalpohualli was the belief in maintaining cosmic harmony. The calendar was seen as a divine blueprint that ensured the universe's balance and the gods' favor. Each day sign and number combination represented a unique manifestation of divine energy. And understanding these energies allowed the Aztecs to align their actions with the cosmos. This alignment was crucial for sustaining life, as it was believed that any disruption in the cosmic order could lead to chaos and destruction. Spiritual identity and personal destiny. The Tonalpohualli also played a central role in shaping an individual's spiritual identity. A person's birth date, determined by the combination of a day sign and number, was believed to influence their character, destiny, and role within society. This system provided individuals with a sense of purpose and belonging, as they understood their place in the grand cosmic scheme. It also guided personal development, as individuals sought to harmonize their actions with the divine energies associated with their birth date. Rituals and ceremonies. Daily rituals and ceremonies were meticulously timed according to the Tonalpohualli. Each day was dedicated to specific deities, and offerings, prayers, and dances were performed to honor them. These rituals were not only acts of devotion, but also means of maintaining the cosmic balance. By performing these ceremonies on the appropriate days, the Aztecs believed they could influence the divine forces in their favor, ensuring prosperity, health, and harmony. Divination and decision-making. The Tonalpohualli served as a divinatory tool, guiding decisions in various aspects of life. Priests and spiritual leaders would consult the calendar to determine the most auspicious days for important events, such as marriages, births, and military campaigns. This practice underscored the belief that time was a powerful force that could be harnessed to align human actions with divine will. Cultural continuity and identity. Beyond its practical applications, the Tonalpohualli was a vessel for cultural continuity and identity. It preserved ancient knowledge and traditions, passing them down through generations. The calendar was a repository of collective memory, encapsulating the Aztecs' understanding of the cosmos, their gods, and their place in the universe. In this way, the Tonalpohualli was not just a calendar, but a spiritual and cultural compass that guided the Aztec civilization. The role of Quetzalcóatl, society patron of priests. Quetzalcóatl, the Feathered Serpent, held a central and multifaceted role in Aztec society, particularly as the patron god of priests and spiritual leaders. His association with wisdom, learning, and the divine made him the ideal deity to guide those who served in religious capacities. This relationship between Quetzalcoatl and the priesthood was not merely symbolic, but was deeply embedded in the religious and social fabric of Aztec civilization. Theological foundations. In Aztec theology, Quetzalcoatl was revered as a god of life, light, and wisdom. He was considered the creator of the universe and mankind, embodying principles of creation, order, and renewal. His connection to the wind and the planet Venus further emphasized his role as a bringer of life and enlightenment. As the patron of priests, Quetzalcoatl represented the ideal qualities that spiritual leaders were expected to emulate: wisdom, humility, and a deep connection to the divine. Institutionalizing the priesthood. The influence of Quetzalcoatl on the priesthood was institutionalized through the naming of high-ranking priests. In Tenochtitlan, the most important temples were dedicated to Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc. The high priests of these temples bore the title Quetzalcóatl, signifying their direct association with the god and their embodiment of his spiritual ideals. This practice underscored the belief that the highest spiritual authority was not just a position of power, but a sacred role entrusted by the god himself. Educational centers and ritual training. The educational and training institutions for priests, such as the Kalmakak, were dedicated to Quetzalcoatl. These centers were not merely schools, but sacred spaces where future priests underwent rigorous training in religious rituals, philosophy, and the sacred arts. The curriculum emphasized the teachings and attributes of Quetzalcoatl, aiming to cultivate spiritual leaders who could guide the community in maintaining cosmic and social order. The proximity of the Kalmakak to the Templo Mayor in Tenochtitlan symbolized a close relationship between education, religion, and governance. Rituals and ceremonies. Priests dedicated to Quetzalcóatl performed various rituals and ceremonies that were integral to Aztec religious life. These included offerings, prayers, and dances that honored the god and sought his favor. The rituals were meticulously timed and performed with precision, reflecting the Aztec belief in the importance of aligning human actions with divine will. Through these ceremonies, priests not only fulfilled their religious duties, but also reinforced the societal norms and values associated with Quetzalcoatl. Symbolism and iconography. The iconography associated with Quetzalcoatl was prevalent in the attire and regalia of priests. Priests often wore costumes adorned with feathers and serpentine motifs, symbolizing their connection to the feathered serpent. These symbols were not merely decorative, but served as visual representations of the priest's role as a mediator between the divine and the earthly realms. The use of such iconography reinforced the sacred nature of the priesthood and its alignment with the divine. Attributes of Quetzalcoatl: ethical and moral guidance. Quetzalcoatl's teachings provided ethical and moral guidance for priests. He was associated with virtues such as humility, nonviolence, and self-sacrifice. These principles were reflected in the conduct expected of priests, who were seen as exemplars of these virtues. The emphasis on ethical behavior underscored the belief that spiritual purity and moral integrity were essential for maintaining the favor of the gods and the well-being of society. Influence on governance. The influence of Quetzalcoatl extended beyond the religious sphere into governance. Aztec rulers such as the legendary king Tupiltzin Quetzalcoatl were believed to be direct descendants or earthly incarnations of the god. These rulers governed with the principles attributed to Quetzalcoatl, emphasizing fairness, justice, and the welfare of the people. The intertwining of religious and political authority highlighted the central role of Quetzalcoatl in shaping the moral and ethical framework of Aztec society. Conclusion. In conclusion, Quetzalcoatl's role as the patron god of priests was multifaceted and deeply integrated into the religious, educational, and political systems of Aztec society. His teachings and attributes provided the foundation for the priesthood, guiding spiritual leaders in their duties and responsibilities. Through the embodiment of Quetzalcoatl's ideals, priests served as crucial intermediaries between the divine and the human, ensuring the maintenance of cosmic and social order. The legacy of Quetzalcoatl's influence on the priesthood continues to be a testament to the centrality of spirituality and divine guidance in the governance and cultural identity of the Aztec civilization. Bringer of knowledge, Quetzalcoatl, the Feathered Serpent, was not only a central deity in Aztec religion, but also a pivotal figure in the dissemination of knowledge and culture across Mesoamerica. His contributions to writing, astronomy, and mathematics were instrumental in shaping the intellectual and spiritual landscape of the Aztec civilization. The inventor of writing. Among Quetzalcoatl's most significant contributions was the invention of writing. He is credited with introducing the Tlacololi, the Aztec pictographic writing system. This system enabled the recording of historical events, genealogies, and religious texts, facilitating the preservation and transmission of knowledge across generations. The development of writing under Quetzalcoatl's guidance marked a profound advancement in the intellectual capabilities of the Aztec people, allowing for the codification of laws, rituals, and cultural narratives. Mastery of astronomy. Quetzalcoatl extended to the realm of astronomy, where he imparted knowledge of the stars and celestial movements. His teachings enabled the Aztecs to develop a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos, leading to the creation of accurate calendars and the ability to predict astronomical events. This astronomical knowledge was not merely academic. It had practical applications in agriculture, religious ceremonies, and governance. The alignment of temples and cities with celestial bodies, for instance, was a testament to the Aztecs' deep connection between the heavens and their earthly existence. Contributions to mathematics. In addition to writing and astronomy, Quetzalcoatl is associated with advancements in mathematics. The Aztecs employed a vigesimal number system, which was utilized in various aspects of daily life, including trade, construction, and timekeeping. Quetzalcóatl's guidance in mathematical concepts facilitated the development of complex architectural designs and the precise measurement of time, both of which were essential for the functioning of Aztec society. Patronage of the arts and crafts. Beyond intellectual pursuits, Quetzalcoatl was also the patron of artisans and craftsmen. He provided the knowledge and inspiration necessary for the creation of art, sculpture, and other crafts. Under his patronage, these artisans were able to produce works that were not only aesthetically pleasing, but also imbued with spiritual significance. The intricate designs and craftsmanship found in Aztec artifacts reflect the deep connection between artistic expression and divine inspiration. The legacy of Quetzalcoatl's knowledge, the knowledge imparted by Quetzalcoatl, had a lasting impact on Aztec society. It influenced various facets of life, from religious practices to daily activities, and contributed to the development of a complex and organized civilization. Even after the fall of the Aztec Empire, the legacy of Quetzalcoatl's teachings continued to resonate, influencing subsequent generations and cultures in Mesoamerica. In conclusion, Quetzalcoatl's role as a bringer of knowledge was multifaceted and profound. Through his contributions to writing, astronomy, mathematics, and the arts, he provided the tools and wisdom necessary for the Aztec civilization to thrive. His legacy as a deity of wisdom and learning underscores the centrality of knowledge in Aztec culture and its enduring influence on the region's history. Protector of craftsmen. In Aztec society, Quetzalcoatl was revered not only as a deity of wisdom and learning, but also as the divine patron of artisans and craftsmen. His association with various crafts underscored his role as a civilizing force, bringing order and refinement to human endeavors. This aspect of Quetzalcoatl's influence highlights the deep interconnection between the divine and the material world in Aztec culture. Divine patronage of artisans. Quetzalcoatl's role as the protector of craftsmen encompassed a wide range of artistic and practical disciplines. He was considered the patron of goldsmiths, sculptors, painters, and other artisans, providing them with the skills and inspiration necessary to create works that were both functional and aesthetically pleasing. This divine patronage elevated the status of artisans within Aztec society, recognizing their contributions as essential to the cultural and spiritual life of the community. The role of artisans in Aztec society. Artisans in Aztec society held a respected position, often working in workshops overseen by the nobility or priests. These workshops produced a variety of goods, including religious idols, ceremonial attire, jewelry, and decorative items for the elite. The works created were not merely decorative, but were imbued with spiritual significance, serving as offerings to the gods and as instruments in religious rituals. The close relationship between artisans and religious institutions underscored the sacred nature of their craft. Symbolism and iconography. The works produced by artisans often featured symbols and motifs associated with Quetzalcoatl, such as feathers, serpents, and wind elements. These symbols served as visual representations of the divine patronage and were intended to invoke the god's favor and protection. The incorporation of such iconography into everyday objects and ceremonial items reinforced the pervasive influence of Quetzalcoatl in all aspects of Aztec life. Cultural and religious significance. The artifacts created by artisans were integral to the religious and cultural practices of the Aztecs. They were used in ceremonies, placed in temples, and offered to the gods as acts of devotion. Through their work, artisans contributed to the maintenance of cosmic order and the fulfillment of religious obligations. In this way, their craft was seen as a form of worship, aligning their skills with the divine will of Quetzalcoatl. Legacy of Quetzalcoatl's influence. The legacy of Quetzalcoatl's patronage of craftsmen is evident in the rich artistic heritage of the Aztec civilization. The intricate designs and craftsmanship found in Aztec artifacts reflect the high value placed on artistic expression and the belief in its divine origins. Even after the fall of the Aztec Empire, the influence of Quetzalcoatl as a patron of artisans continued to resonate. inspiring future generations to appreciate and uphold the traditions of craftsmanship. In conclusion, Quetzalcóatl's role as the protector of craftsmen highlights the Aztec understanding of the interconnectedness between the spiritual and material worlds. Through his divine patronage, artisans were not only able to hone their skills, but also to contribute to the cultural and religious life of their society, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to be celebrated today. Influence on governance. Quetzalcóatl's impact on Aztec governance extended beyond his spiritual and cultural roles, deeply influencing the political structures and legal systems of the empire. As a deity embodying wisdom, justice, and order, he provided a divine framework that legitimized and guided the political authority of rulers and the moral conduct of society. Divine legitimacy and the priest-king model. Aztec rulers often traced their lineage to Quetzalcoatl, viewing themselves as his earthly representatives. This divine association conferred legitimacy upon their authority, aligning political power with spiritual mandate. The concept of the priest-king, exemplified by the legendary ruler Quetzalcóatl, emphasized the ruler's role as both a political leader and a spiritual guide, ensuring that governance was conducted in harmony with divine principles, codification of laws and moral order. Quetzalcóatl's influence is evident in the Aztec legal system, where laws were not merely civil directives, but moral imperatives believed to be divinely inspired. The codification of laws, including those governing behavior, tribute, and ritual practices, reflected a societal commitment to uphold cosmic order. This moral framework ensured that governance was perceived as an extension of divine will, promoting societal stability and ethical conduct. Rituals and political authority. The integration of religious rituals into political life further reinforced Quetzalcoatl's influence. Ceremonies, often conducted at the Templo Mayor and other sacred sites, were not only acts of devotion but also expressions of political authority. Rulers participated in these rituals to demonstrate their piety and reinforce their role as intermediaries between the gods and the people. This fusion of religious and political duties underscored the inseparability of governance and spirituality in Aztec society. Symbolism and political iconography. Quetzalcóatl's presence in political iconography further exemplified his role in governance. Depictions of the feathered serpent adorn temples, codices, and ceremonial attire, symbolizing the ruler's connection to divine wisdom and authority. These symbols served as constant reminders of the sacred responsibilities of leadership and the expectation that rulers govern in accordance with divine principles. Legacy in Aztec political thought. The enduring legacy of Quetzalcoatl in Aztec political thought is evident in the continued reverence for his ideals even after the fall of the empire. His emphasis on justice, wisdom, and moral integrity influenced subsequent generations, leaving an indelible mark on the political consciousness of Mesoamerica. The integration of divine principles into governance, as exemplified by Quetzalcoatl's teachings, remains a testament to the profound relationship between religion and politics in Aztec society. In conclusion, Quetzalcoatl's influence on Aztec governance was multifaceted, intertwining divine authority with political power. Through the priest-king model, codification of laws, integration of rituals, and symbolic representations, he shaped a political system where governance was viewed as a sacred duty, ensuring that the empire functioned in alignment with cosmic and moral order. Cultural legacy. Quetzalcoatl, the Feathered Serpent, stands as one of the most enduring and multifaceted deities in Mesoamerican history. His influence permeated various aspects of Aztec society, from religion and governance to art and education. Even after the fall of the Aztec Empire, his legacy continued to shape cultural identities and spiritual practices across the Americas. A unifying symbol across Mesoamerica. While Quetzalcoatl is most closely associated with the Aztecs, his worship spanned multiple Mesoamerican civilizations. The Maya revered him as Kukulkan, and the Toltecs recognized him as Quetzalcóatl. This widespread veneration underscores his role as a unifying figure, facilitating communication and trade among diverse cultures. His image as the feathered serpent symbolized the interconnectedness of the earthly and celestial realms, embodying the duality of existence that resonated across different societies. Enduring influence in post-conquest period. Despite the Spanish conquest and the suppression of indigenous religions, Quetzalcóatl's influence persisted. His myths were often interwoven with Christian narratives, creating a syncretic blend that allowed elements of the pre-Hispanic worldview to endure. In modern times, Quetzalcoatl has experienced a resurgence of interest, becoming a symbol of indigenous identity, cultural heritage, and spiritual awakening. He is invoked in art, literature, and even political movements, representing a connection to a rich and complex past, symbolism, and artistic legacy. Quetzalcóatl's association with the serpent and the Quetzal bird gave rise to distinctive artistic expressions. Feathered serpent motifs adorn temples, codices, and ceremonial attire, symbolizing the divine patronage and invoking the god's favor. These symbols served as visual representations of the sacred, reinforcing the deep connection between art and spirituality in Aztec culture. Educational and philosophical impact. Quetzalcóatl's role as a bringer of knowledge extended to the realm of education. He was associated with the Comicac, the Aztec school for the nobility, where students were taught writing, astronomy, and philosophy. His teachings emphasized the importance of wisdom, ethics, and the pursuit of knowledge, laying the foundation for an intellectual tradition that valued learning and reflection. A legacy of renewal and transformation. Central to Quetzalcóatl's mythos is the concept of renewal. He is said to have created humanity from the bones of previous generations, symbolizing the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. This theme of transformation resonates in various aspects of Aztec culture, from their agricultural practices to their rituals and cosmology. Quetzalcóatl's emphasis on regeneration continues to inspire contemporary movements focused on cultural revitalization and spiritual renewal. In conclusion, Quetzalcoatl's cultural legacy is vast and multifaceted, encompassing religious, artistic, educational, and philosophical dimensions. His enduring influence serves as a testament to the richness of Aztec civilization and its capacity to adapt and persist through changing times. As a symbol of wisdom, unity, and transformation, Quetzalcoatl continues to resonate with people seeking to connect with their heritage and explore the depths of human experience. The symbolism of the feathered serpent's appearance. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, is one of the most iconic deities in Mesoamerican mythology, particularly within Aztec culture. His name, derived from the Nahuatl words Quetzalli and Coatl, directly translates to feathered serpent. This nomenclature reflects his unique depiction as a hybrid creature, combining the majestic feathers of a bird with the sinuous body of a serpent. Visual representations and artistic depictions, Quetzalcoatl is often portrayed as a serpent adorned with iridescent feathers, symbolizing the Quetzal bird, renowned for its vibrant plumage. These feathers are not merely decorative. They signify the deity's connection to the heavens and the divine. His form bridges the terrestrial and celestial realms, embodying the synthesis of earth and sky. The earliest known representations of the feathered serpent appear in the Olmec civilization, dating back to around 900 BC. These depictions, such as the one on Stela 19 at Levanta, show a serpent intertwined with human figures, suggesting a shamanic or ritualistic context. As Mesoamerican cultures evolved, so did the portrayal of Quetzalcoatl. By the time of the Aztecs, he was depicted in both his zoomorphic and anthropomorphic forms. In his human guise, he's often shown wearing a beak-like mask, emphasizing his association with the wind and his aspect as a Hikatl, the wind god. These dual representations underscore Quetzalcoatl's multifaceted nature, encompassing the physical and spiritual, the earthly and the celestial. His image served not only as a religious symbol, but also as a reminder of the interconnectedness of all elements of the cosmos. Symbolism of the feather in Aztec culture. Feathers held profound symbolic and religious significance. representing a connection to the divine and the celestial realms. The act of adorning oneself with feathers was not merely decorative, but a means to embody divine attributes and assert one's spiritual status. Feathers were considered more valuable than jade or turquoise in Aztec society, symbolizing fertility, wealth, power, and abundance. They were believed to possess magical properties, conferring a direct link to the gods upon those who wore them. This belief underscores the sacred nature of feathers and their role in mediating between the earthly and the divine. The Quetzal bird, known for its vibrant green feathers, was particularly revered. Its feathers were so esteemed that they were used as a form of currency and were integral to ceremonial attire. The resplendent Quetzal's tail feathers, thought to symbolize spring plant growth, were venerated by the Aztec and Maya, linking the bird to themes of renewal and vitality. In the context of Quetzalcóatl, the feathered serpent, feathers symbolize his connection to the sky and the divine. His name itself, Quetzal and Cotl, reflects this duality, merging the earthly serpent with the celestial bird. This synthesis underscores his role as a mediator between the heavens and the earth, embodying the union of the spiritual and the material. Feathers were also integral to Aztec featherwork, a highly developed art form that produced intricate headdresses, shields, and other ceremonial items. These feathered objects were not only artistic expressions, but also held deep spiritual significance, serving as symbols of divine favor and cosmic order. In conclusion, feathers in Aztec culture were more than mere adornments. They were potent symbols of the divine, representing a bridge between the earthly and the celestial. Through their association with Quetzalcóatl, feathers embodied the deity's role as the feathered serpent, a being who unites the sky and the earth, the spiritual and the material. Symbolism of the serpent in Aztec culture. The serpent emerged as a profound symbol, intricately woven into the fabric of their mythology, religion, and art, unlike the predominantly negative connotations associated with serpents in many other cultures. The Aztecs revered the serpent as a multifaceted emblem of life, death, and cosmic balance. Serpent as a symbol of earth and underworld. The serpent's sinuous form and subterranean habits made it an apt representation of the earth and the underworld in Aztec cosmology. Its ability to traverse various terrains, slithering through the earth, swimming in water, and perching in trees, symbolized its dominion over multiple realms. This versatility positioned the serpent as a mediator between the physical and spiritual worlds, embodying the interconnectedness of all existence. A notable example of this symbolism is the double-headed serpent, an Aztec sculpture composed of turquoise, spiny oyster shell, and conch shell. This artifact is believed to represent the duality of the earth and underworld, with each head symbolizing one of these realms. The open jaws of the serpents are interpreted as gateways to Mictlan, the Aztec underworld, emphasizing the serpent's role as a conduit between life and death. Serpent as a symbol of rebirth and fertility. The serpent's capacity to shed its skin was emblematic of regeneration and renewal. This natural process was interpreted as a metaphor for death and rebirth, aligning with the Aztec belief in cyclical time and the perpetual renewal of life. Consequently, serpents were associated with fertility, agriculture, and the continuous cycle of life, death, and resurrection. Quetzalcóatl, the feathered serpent. Quetzalcóatl, the feathered serpent, epitomizes the synthesis of these symbolic attributes. As a deity, Quetzalcóatl embodies the duality of the serpent, representing both the earth and the heavens. His association with the wind and rain further underscores his role as a life giver, facilitating agricultural fertility and the sustenance of life. Through his mythological narratives, Quetzalcóatl exemplifies the serpent's symbolic significance as a bearer of knowledge, a creator of humanity, and a mediator between the earthly and divine realms. The dual nature Quetzalcóatl, the feathered serpent, epitomizes a profound duality in Aztec mythology, embodying both wind and earth, celestial and terrestrial realms. This duality underscores the interconnectedness of natural forces and divine beings in Aztec cosmology. Quetzalcóatl as Hetcatl, the wind god. In his aspect as a Hecatl, Quetzalcóatl is revered as the god of wind, a vital force that carries prayers to the heavens and ensures the proper functioning of the cosmos. Ahicatl's portrayal often features distinctive elements, including a conical hat and a duckbill mask, both unique to him and symbolic of his connection to the wind. The architectural design of his temples typically resembled circular or curved pyramids with conical roofs, reflecting his association with wind and air. As a Hecatl, Quetzalcoatl's role was not only to facilitate communication between the earthly and divine, but also to bring rain essential for agriculture. This aspect highlights his importance in sustaining life and maintaining the balance of nature. Quetzalcóatl as the Feathered Serpent, the earthly deity. In his manifestation as the Feathered Serpent, Quetzalcóatl embodies the earth, agriculture, and fertility. This form emphasizes his role as a creator and sustainer of life, providing the necessary elements for growth and prosperity. The serpent, often associated with the underworld and regeneration, complements the wind aspect by symbolizing the earth's nurturing and transformative powers. The dual nature of Quetzalcóatl reflects the Aztec understanding of the universe as a harmonious balance between opposing forces. By embodying both wind and earth, Quetzalcóatl serves as a bridge between the celestial and terrestrial, facilitating the flow of life and energy across realms. Artistic representations. Quetzalcóatl, the Feathered Serpent, is one of the most visually iconic deities in Mesoamerican culture, and his artistic representations are among the most enduring legacies of Aztec civilization. From monumental architecture to intricate codices and ceremonial artifacts, Quetzalcoatl's imagery reflects his dual nature as both a divine wind god and a regenerative earth deity. Monumental architecture, temples and sculptures. The Temple of the Feathered Serpent at Teotihuacan is one of the most significant architectural representations of the deity. Constructed around 200 CE, the temple features sculpted reliefs of feathered serpent heads on its facade, symbolizing Quetzalcoatl's association with the wind and the heavens. These depictions emphasize his role as a celestial and atmospheric force. At Quetzalco, another important site, the Temple of the Feathered Serpent showcases fine stylized depictions of the deity. The high talads of the pyramid bear relief carvings that depict towns that pay tribute to Quetzalco, as well as several seated figures that exhibit apparent influences of Teotihuacan and Maya art. This fusion of artistic styles underscores the widespread reverence for Quetzalcoatl across different Mesoamerican cultures. Codices and manuscripts. In Aztec codices, Quetzalcoatl is often depicted in both his feathered serpent form and as a bearded man, highlighting his dual nature. For instance, in the Codex Laud, Quetzalcoatl is shown as a feathered serpent, emphasizing his connection to the sky and the divine. These codices served as both religious texts and historical records, illustrating the central role of Quetzalcoatl in Aztec society. Ceremonial artifacts. Quetzalcoatl's image also adorned various ceremonial artifacts. A notable example is a pendant featuring delicately incised imagery of a feathered serpent. This pendant, which retains the shape of a cross-section of a conch shell, showcases the intricate artistry and symbolic significance of Quetzalcoatl in Aztec culture. Legacy in modern art. The enduring legacy of Quetzalcoatl artistic representations continues to inspire modern interpretations. Contemporary artworks often reimagine the feathered serpent, blending traditional motifs with modern aesthetics. These modern representations serve as a bridge between ancient Mesoamerican culture and contemporary artistic expression, keeping the symbolism of Quetzalcoatl alive in the public imagination. The enduring legacy of Quetzalcoatl historical reverence. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, was one of the most revered deities in Mesoamerican cultures, particularly among the Aztecs. His worship extended back to the Olmec and Toltec civilizations, and by the time of the Aztec Empire, he had become a central figure in their religious and cultural life. As the god of wind, rain, and learning, Quetzalcoatl was believed to have created humanity and provided the knowledge necessary for civilization. Temples dedicated to Quetzalcoatl, such as the Temple of the Feathered Serpent at Teotihuacan, were architectural marvels that showcased the deity's importance. These structures were adorned with intricate carvings and sculptures depicting the feathered serpent, symbolizing his connection to both the heavens and the earth. Priests and scholars associated with Quetzalcoatl's worship played vital roles in Aztec society, overseeing rituals, education, and the preservation of knowledge. Quetzalcoatl's influence also permeated the arts, with his image appearing in codices, pottery, and textiles. These artistic representations not only honored the deity, but also served as a means of educating the populace about his significance and the values he embodied. Through these multifaceted expressions of reverence, Quetzalcoatl's legacy was deeply embedded in the cultural fabric of the Aztec civilization. Post-conquest interpretations, the arrival of Hernan Cortes in 1519, coincided with a significant moment in Aztec history, leading to the emergence of a narrative suggesting that the Aztecs mistook him for the returning god Quetzalcoatl. This interpretation has been widely disseminated, but its accuracy has been the subject of scholarly debate. Early post-conquest accounts, such as those by the Spanish historian Francisco López de Gomara, propagated the idea that Moctezuma II believed Cortes was the prophesied return of Quetzalcoatl. These narratives often depicted the Aztecs as naive, attributing their defeat to a misplaced reverence for the Spanish conquistadors. However, these accounts were written decades after the events, and are considered by many historians to be influenced by Spanish perspectives aiming to justify the conquest. Modern scholars, including Camilla Townsend and Matthew Ristall, argue that there is little evidence to support the claim that the Aztecs viewed Cortes as a deity. They contend that the narrative of Cortes as Quetzalcoatl was constructed post facto, primarily by Spanish chroniclers and missionaries, to facilitate the process of evangelization and to portray the conquest as a divinely sanctioned event. This interpretation served to align indigenous beliefs with Christian teachings, thereby easing the cultural and religious transition for the native populations. Furthermore, the idea that the Aztecs believed in the return of Quetzalcoatl is not substantiated by pre-conquest Nahuatl sources. The concept of Quetzalcoatl's return appears to have been a construct of colonial era narratives rather than an authentic pre-Columbian prophecy. In conclusion, while the story of Cortes as Quetzalcoatl has become a prominent part of colonial history, its origins are rooted in post-conquest interpretations that sought to explain and legitimize the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. Modern cultural significance, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, continues to be a profound symbol in modern Mexican culture, embodying a rich tapestry of identity, heritage, and resilience. His legacy transcends ancient myth, permeating various facets of contemporary life and serving as a bridge between the past and present. In the realm of visual arts, Quetzalcoatl's image is prevalent, often depicted in murals, sculptures, and contemporary artworks. Artists draw upon his symbolism to explore themes of transformation, duality, and the interconnectedness of nature and humanity. These artistic representations not only honor the deity, but also serve as a medium for cultural expression and reflection. The feathered serpent's influence extends to literature and performance arts, where he is portrayed as a figure of wisdom, creation, and cosmic balance. His narratives inspire stories that delve into the complexities of existence, the cyclical nature of life, and the pursuit of knowledge. Through these mediums, Quetzalcoatl's teachings continue to resonate, offering insights into personal and collective journeys. In educational contexts, particularly within Chicanx and Latinx communities, Quetzalcoatl's legacy is invoked to foster a sense of cultural pride and continuity. His association with knowledge and learning serves as a foundation for curricula that emphasize indigenous philosophies, languages, and histories. This educational approach empowers students to connect with their ancestral roots and understand the enduring relevance of their cultural heritage. Moreover, Quetzalcoatl's symbolism is evident in contemporary fashion and design, where motifs inspired by the feathered serpent are incorporated into clothing, accessories, and branding. These designs celebrate indigenous aesthetics and promote cultural awareness, allowing individuals to express their identity and heritage in modern contexts. Quetzalcóatl's enduring presence in modern Mexican culture underscores his role as a timeless emblem of spiritual depth, intellectual pursuit, and cultural resilience. He remains a guiding figure, inspiring individuals to seek wisdom, embrace transformation, and honor the interconnectedness of all life. Symbol of resistance, Quetzalco, the feathered serpent, transcends his role as a pre-Hispanic deity to embody a powerful symbol of resistance and resilience in modern Mexico. His legacy has been reclaimed by indigenous and mestizo communities as a means to assert cultural identity, challenge oppression, and advocate for social justice. During the colonial era, indigenous peoples invoked Quetzalcoatl as a form of spiritual and political resistance against Spanish colonization. The deity's association with wisdom, creation, and the cosmos provided a framework for indigenous communities to resist cultural erasure and assert their sovereignty. This resistance was not only spiritual, but also manifested in the preservation and adaptation of indigenous traditions, languages, and governance structures. In contemporary times, Quetzalcoatl continues to serve as a symbol of resistance. Movements such as the Zapatista Army of National Liberation have drawn upon indigenous symbols and narratives to challenge neoliberal policies and advocate for indigenous rights. The EZLN's use of indigenous imagery, including references to Quetzalcoatl, underscores the enduring relevance of these symbols in contemporary struggles for justice and autonomy. Furthermore, cultural initiatives like the Caravana Quetzalcoatl Festival exemplify the deity's role in modern resistance. This festival brings together artists, activists, and communities to celebrate indigenous cultures and promote social change. By invoking Quetzalcoatl, the festival emphasizes themes of transformation, unity, and the reclamation of cultural narratives. In essence, Quetzalcoatl's enduring legacy as a symbol of resistance highlights the resilience of indigenous cultures and their ongoing struggle for recognition, rights, and justice in the face of historical and contemporary challenges. Continued spiritual relevance, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, endures as a profound spiritual symbol in contemporary Mexico, embodying themes of transformation, wisdom, and cultural continuity. His legacy persists in both indigenous and mestizo communities, serving as a bridge between ancestral traditions and modern expressions of identity and spirituality. In the town of Tepoztlan, considered one of Mexico's most powerful spiritual centers, Quetzalcoatl's influence is palpable. Legends state that he was born in nearby Amatlan, and for over a millennium, pilgrims have journeyed to this region for spiritual renewal. Visitors engage in rituals such as energetic cleansing, chanting, and music, practices that honor Quetzalcoatl's association with wind, creation, and cosmic balance. These ceremonies reflect a deep connection to the land and the deity's enduring presence in the spiritual landscape. Beyond ritualistic practices, Quetzalcoatl's teachings are integrated into educational frameworks like Nahui Ellen. This model, rooted in Aztec cosmology, emphasizes reflection, action, reconciliation, and transformation. Quetzalcoatl represents the pursuit of wisdom and personal growth, guiding individuals to critically engage with their history and identity. Educators utilize this framework to foster a sense of community and cultural pride among students, particularly within Chicanx and Ladings communities. Artistically, Quetzalcoatl's image continues to inspire contemporary works. His depiction as a feathered serpent symbolizes the duality of existence, earth and sky, life and death, and serves as a metaphor for personal and societal transformation. Through murals, sculptures, and performances, artists explore themes of renewal and interconnectedness, reflecting the deity's timeless relevance. In essence, Quetzalcoatl remains a vital force in modern spiritual and cultural practices. His legacy offers a framework for understanding the cycles of life, embracing transformation, and maintaining a harmonious relationship with the natural world. As a symbol of resilience and wisdom, Quetzalcoatl continues to guide individuals and communities in their journey towards spiritual and cultural renewal. The enduring legacy of Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, stands as a profound symbol of Mesoamerican spirituality, embodying the harmonious convergence of earth and sky, life and death, wisdom and creation. From his revered status in ancient civilizations like the Aztecs and Toltecs to his enduring presence in modern culture, Quetzalcoatl's influence permeates various facets of society. In the post-conquest era, Quetzalcoatl's legacy was reinterpreted, often merging with Christian narratives to facilitate cultural assimilation. However, his essence persisted, serving as a beacon of resistance and resilience for indigenous communities. Today, Quetzalcoatl continues to inspire through art, education, and spiritual practices, reminding us of the rich cultural heritage and the enduring spirit of the Mesoamerican peoples. If you found this exploration insightful, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing for more in-depth discussions on cultural legacies and historical narratives. Your engagement helps us continue to bring these stories to light.